On July 18, 1981, in the Connecticut town of Brookfield, Ed and Lorraine Warren are summoned to the home of David Gatzel, age 8, who is under the control of a demonic force. Along with them are David's siblings, Debbie and Johnson, and parents Carl and Judy. The chandelier is broken and there are claw marks all over the walls, giving the house the appearance of having already been looted by demons. While the group is taking a break, Anne takes David to his room so he may sleep, just as Father Gordon, a priest, shows in. David afterwards hears a hammering sound in his chamber, which makes him scream. David appears from the shadows and stabs Carl in the legs, and everyone rushes to see him how he's doing. Father Gordon and Lorraine are summoned to begin an exorcism after Ed grabs David. More harm is done to the house by the demon, and David has abnormal body kicks. While trying to keep things under control, Lorraine sees flashes of demonic and cultic visions. The demon uses David's body to attack Ed in his heart. Anne grabs David and talks to him, telling the demon to take him instead, which Ed witnesses. The chaos stops and David appears to be cured. Lorraine rushes to Ed's side as he loses consciousness. Lorraine is joined by Glassels and Anne at the hospital, where the medical professionals inform Lorraine that Ed is in a coma and will require additional testing before a final diagnosis can be made. Even though they don't have a lot of money, Anne informs Debbie when he wakes up the following morning that he believes they should leave Brookfield.
You mean leave Brookfield?
Anne saw a rat inside the cereal box when he was alone in the house and thought he saw something moving in it. Then, just before what appears to be an old woman grasping him and growling in his face, he finds a rotten hole in the wall. Father Gordon stops by Lorraine's hospital room as he continues to keep an eye on Ed. She describes how they first met when they were young, how Ed took her to a gospel where they had their first kiss, and how Father Gordon first met them. Anne is sent home from work after being struck by another ghost there. He finds Debbie and their landlord Bruno Sauls when he arrives. In response, Lorraine and their daughter Judy arrives at Ed's side, where he awakens. The girl's residence is unreachable when she attempts to phone because Bruno has the music too loud. The police are subsequently notified by Lorraine to report to the girl's residence. Anne becomes increasingly sick as he witnesses what appears to be Bruno's abusing Debbie. Anne chases Debbie after spotting her running and then notices Bruno as a horrible creature. Later, when an officer discovers Anne covered in blood, he is seen walking down the streets.
Just stay right there, okay?
According to reports, Anne fatally stabbed Bruno 22 times. While Anne is being questioned by Ed and Lorraine, Debbie defends Anne by claiming that whatever happened to Bruno could not have been Anne's fault. The Warren discusses with Anne's attorney their plans to show that Anne was motivated by domestic possession to commit the crime in order to spare him his death penalty. Anne appears in court and asserts his allegation of domestic possession, which results in his admission to a mental hospital. The recordings on David's belongings are discussed by Ed and Lorraine. According to family members, the problem started 5 months ago when the Glassel family initially moved into their home. When the demon tried to seize David after breaking through the mattress, David went to check out the waterbed and played on it. After speaking with Debbie, they discovered rotten wood that was once believed to be the consequences of water damage, as well as rug where the bad ones was. A witch's totem is found by Lorraine in the cellar, which is located beneath the home. The Warren think a cult is responsible for this. In their investigation, they recruit Joe's assistants. The Warren met a former priest named Kastner, who dismantled a cult known as the Disciples of the Ram, and Father Gordon's recommendation. They display the totem picture to Kastner, who is aware that it was created by a satanist. He takes them to his basement, which is filled with memorabilia from the Ram cult. When his baby was delivered prematurely with his heart outside of his body and his wife committed suicide a few months later, he believes that the prosecutor on their case suffered after finding them guilty. Anne is scrubbing the floor in the psych's ward when a patient appears to be possessed nearby and begins singing "Call Me to Him."
Your color, darling.
The song was playing when they killed Bruno. Anne is eventually knocked over by the entity and to be put to sleep by the orderlies. To speak with Sergeant Clay, Drew phones the Warren and instructs them to travel to Danvers, Massachusetts. He informs them of the fate of Jessica Strong and Kate Lincoln, who were closest friends in high school. Jessica was never found, and Katie was also stabbed 22 times, but a totem resembling the one at the Glazes' home was found at the crime scene. Clay initially refuses to let the Warren look into the case file until Lorraine convinces Clay in front of the other officers that she was clairvoyant skill. Anne talks about his feelings when Debbie and David visit him. David makes them realize that Anne is currently experiencing the same problem as David because he is entirely aware of it. Clay takes the Warren to the location where the girls vanish in the woods. When Lorraine finds the location where adrenaline Jessica began stabbing Katie, she begins to imitate the incident to the point where Ed has to intervene to stop her. Lorraine pursues the vision, pursuing Kate all the way to the precipice. Lorraine is pulled below by a monster's hand, but Ed catches her and raises her. Clay and a friend informed by Lorraine that Jessica must have fallen over and ended at the bottom of the river. When a recovery crew passes, they too discover a body. Debbie makes a call to the Warren and informs them that the demon is attempting to get Anne to commit suicide. An unsettling screaming sound can be heard over the phone as Ed instructs her to notify the personnel and put Anne on suicide watch. In the meantime, Anne receives a vial of holy water from a prisoner, and as she begins to experience vision, she pours a circle of the water around herself. To find Jessica's body, Ed and Lorraine enter the funeral's home. In the link, Lorraine grabs her hand and finds herself in what looks to be a dark basement filled with black candles and occult literature. In the midst of her attempt to seduce Anne into sneezing her wrist, she encounters the occultist woman that Anne had earlier seen. When Lorraine intervenes, the guard locates Anne. The occultist acknowledges Lorraine and brings to life a big man corpse. In order to break the connection and prevent the large corpse from attacking, Ed pulls Lorraine away from Jessica's hand. However, Lorraine informs Ed that the woman is now aware of their identities. To discuss additional research, the Warren gets together with Debbie and Drew. The occultists put the totem in the possession of both parties, which caused the possessed to commit murder before the killer commits suicide. This is how they related the two murders to a curse. The altar upon which the curse was put must be destroyed in order to end it, and Lorraine is aware that the occultist must complete the spell in order to save her own soul. Ed faints once more as he's trying to make the connection between the victims. The occultist projects herself to him when he awakens and confronts him. When Ed chases after the naked, overweight body, he discovers that he was almost attacking Lorraine when the cops attack again. When they find a totem inside a vase filled with a decayed flower, they conclude that the occultist set something up just for her to invade the area. Further inquiry revealed to Ed and Drew that Jessica obtained a totem in a box from a Fairfield University, which makes Ed think that the occultist is based nearby. At the same time, Lorraine returns to Krasner's office to ask for assistance. He leads her down to the basement, where he explains that he had a daughter who was an occultist in the secret name Heisler. He picked out curiosity in an effort to keep her away from the occultist. Krasner tells Lorraine that the altar might be down in the tunnel under the house where Ursula used to play. The moment Lorraine hears footsteps, she realizes Ursula has entered the house.
She's here.
Ursula locates Krasner and slits his throat, while Lorraine searches for the passage. Anne is with Debbie by his side, but Father Newman can feel Ursula's presence. Ursula is getting ready to end the curse just as Lorraine finds the altar. Then Ed runs to the house to look for Lorraine, but Ursula spots him and blows powder into his face, taking control of him and making him engage enough to try swing a sledgehammer at Lorraine. As everything is going on, Anne's possession spirals out of control, breaking the ward's window and freeing him from his bond. He begins to float and attempt to slit his throat with a piece of glass, but Debbie restrains him. When Lorraine finally reaches Ed, she reminds him of his love and tells him that despite what Ursula believes, it is their strength. Anne is released from his captivity when Ed escapes the possession and destroys the altar. Ursula tries to kill the Warren herself, but is too late. A demon lord arrives to take Ursula's soul to hell, while tortuously twisting Ursula's body into a mere shell. With cameo appearances for Annabelle and Valak, Ed brings the altar Charlie into the Warren Museum. They then accompany Debbie to the courtroom where Annie's trial is starting. According to the text, Annie is sentenced to 5 years in prison after being found guilty of manslaughter. He wed Debbie while he was in prison, and the two are still together today. In the final scene, Ed is shown escorting Lorraine to a gazebo he constructed as a tribute to their early dating days. You've made it this far. In appreciation, please like, subscribe, watch other recaps, and share with your loved ones.